Hey y'all, welcome to the Suburban Stitcher podcast. My name is Diane, and today is Wednesday, August 17th, 2016. This is episode 99. Thank you so much. If you are returning and you have watched even just one of the last 99 plus episodes, because there have been some extras and freebies and interviews and extra fun things in there. Thank you. Thank you. It has been about a month since I actually recorded. I do want to say thank y'all so much for the outpouring of love and appreciation for that last video. That was a super fun weekend that I got to spend last year at the Knitting in the Hills retreat that is put on by Hill Country Weavers in Austin, Texas. I had the privilege of interviewing those lovely ladies, and I was there interviewing with Stacy of Mustache Yarn, who actually, she was the one conducting the interview, and I was just a fly on the wall with a camera on. So anyway, yeah, that was just a super fun time. But I want to say thank you. I'm so glad that y'all enjoyed it. Makes me feel really good about putting it out there. Wasn't sure if people would watch it, if they would like it, and I just think it was super fun. So thank you. I have to apologize. I feel like I'm just going to be yawning. The weather is overcast and dreary and rainy and drizzly, which I have had to open the windows, which normally it is so bright that I can't open them, and right now it's making me sleepy. So I am drinking my kombucha. I am trying to enjoy this one. This particular one is not very good, so I put it over ice and I'm sort of nursing it, but it's not my favorite flavor. But anyway, there's 2 weeks left in the Around Your Neck cowl. Oh my gosh. So make sure you're finishing up your shawls or your cowls or whatever it is that you are making, and get those pictures posted, and we'll get those prizes drawn in a few weeks. It ends August 31st. Can't believe that we're that close. I think that's 2 weeks from today, which is kind of scary. And fall cowl, I know I'm going to be knitting a sweater, starting it in September. I don't want to do anything official, but, we'll see. Maybe there's something out there that, if you want to knit a sweater, or if you want to knit the sweater that I'm going to knit, that I'll talk about in a little bit. Maybe we'll just have an unofficial knit along, just support each other kind of knit along. I also want to say a quick thank you for, there's been a few people that have reached out, messaged and Instagram about my family in Baton Rouge with the flooding. And my family, my parents, and also aunts, uncles, and cousins, and everybody, they are all safe. They are, as far as I know, and I could have, some extended family that I haven't been told about yet, but I believe that everyone's homes actually were spared from the flood. A lot of them were stranded in their homes and in their neighborhoods. The flood, waters got very close, and lost electricity for lots of days. But as far as damage, flooding to their homes, my understanding is that thankfully everybody was spared, which is such the minority right now. Again, if you've watched me for any length of time, you know that just 2.5 months ago, we actually had to evacuate our house because of flooding. We were spared as well, but I cannot tell you how surreal it has been to have experienced it personally and then be watching just a few months later as my parents and my cousins and everybody deals with that. It's just so stressful. So, and that's my home. I am a Louisiana girl, for sure. So, LSU Cup. So, yeah, so any extra thoughts or prayers, or if you are looking for something to do there are so many ways to donate, whether it be physical items or money or time. There are lots of ways, and I may actually even put out a few of my favorite ways and things, either that it's a a well-known, established, through a church or through an existing nonprofit, or some really kind of unique ways, people that are selling things that they make, where all the proceeds go to the floods. And I may actually post a few of those in the show notes, so that if you feel led to donate or support in any way. So if any of y'all have ever had to deal with this flooding in particular, because there's almost no warning. That's the scary part, is that you can, even when you know that it might be happening, it happens so quickly that you just can't prepare, and they didn't even know this was coming. This was not planned, not supposed to happen, and people that have never flooded in 500, 1,000 years, land that has never flooded. So anyway, that is enough with that. So let's get on to the knitting. Like I said, it's been a while since I actually recorded. I do have a couple of finished objects that I finished last month while we were on our trip in Colorado, which was amazing. Just the best time. Louisiana is my home. Texas is also my home, where I live with my family. And I feel like I have a heart on each coast as well, or on two parts of the country, because I feel like there's so much of my heart that is in Colorado, with the weather and the views and the mountains, and also it's with the beach and the lake, and and if I could live on a lake that was in the mountains, I guess that would be perfect. That would be where I need to be. Anyway. Okay, so my first finished object is and this has started well over a year ago. I actually brought it on our vacation last summer. But this is called the Cool Clavicle Cover, and it is a little shawlette designed by Megan Williams, one half of the Stockinette Zombies. And the yarn that I used for this is Western Sky Knits in the Boysenberry colorway, and it's just lots of beautiful shades of purple, kind of a burgundy and purple and some fuchsias and natural undyed spots and that like kind of bright blue in there. So just purpley blues and pinks. I love the top of this shawl, how this happened. This particular edging is really nice. And then the bottom, it's just kind of a no frills shawlette. I did not aggressively block this at all. I didn't feel like it needed it. I actually bound off the first half of it in using the size 8 needle that I was knitting it with, and I just wasn't getting a loose enough gauge. And so while I was in Colorado, I actually went to an LYS and bought size 10 DPNs so that I could finish binding it off. So it kind of has a weird half bind off. My niece was on our vacation with us, and she just kept commenting about this and how sparkly it was. And I think this may end up going to her for Christmas. She just kept loving it and petting it while we were there. And honestly, even last summer, I kept thinking, I think Riley would like this. So, I don't know, we'll see. But I love it. I think it's beautiful, but I think that she would love it more. So, there is the texture detail on this. And again, the yarn is Western Sky Knits in the Boysenberry colorway. It's on their Twinkle base, I believe. And the pattern is Cool Clavicle Cover by Megan Williams. And I used about 90% of the yarn. So I have a little bit left, enough for a blanket square and then onto my crochet blanket. So that is that. I'm actually going to pull this out now that I've showed that to you so I can put it into my blanket. And the second finished object, my chair is really squeaky today, sorry y'all. The second finished object this week is, and these are worn, but they've been washed since then and blocked and kind of different lengths. Oh well. I finished the socks that I was making for my Jack. Jack is my youngest child. He is 7, almost 8, less than 2 months. It's crazy. And these really could fit me, and they fit him perfectly, which is also sort of frightening. But these are sport weight socks from, the yarn is from Another Crafty Girl, and it's her Strong Sport base, I believe, and the colorway is called Floating Lanterns. And I started knitting these. He'd been asking me for rainbow socks, and I kept showing him pictures of rainbows, and of course everything that he would love I didn't have, you know, or couldn't get easily. And so I started knitting these just because I was in the mood to knit sport weight socks, and he was like, Mommy, I want those. And they're kind of rainbowy. Pretty much got every color in the rainbow. But they're rainbowy without being rainbows, I guess. So he loves them, and they were great in Colorado. That's where I finished them. And they have had no use whatsoever here in Texas, although today is sort of a cool, temperate day. It's probably low 80s, only because it's raining and overcast. And apparently we have like big major helicopters or jets flying over. Weird. But I wanted to show, so these have been worn and washed. And there's absolutely no bleeding, no loss of dye in this. This is the original, unwashed color in here. And I just thought that you could also appreciate when you get some yarn that is really nicely dyed and the color is set. So, and then I will say the same for that shawl. The 2 colors, there was no color loss here either. So you can see. It's a little bit harder to tell because it's just open and airy, but there's no color loss there as well. So I don't really know what to do with sport weight scraps. Anybody out there has sport weight scrap ideas? Just can't really put them into a blanket because it's the total wrong gauge. Okay, whips. And there are a few because it's been a while. Okay, so the first thing that I've been working on, I think I showed once before, but these are my pattern is called Cables Down the Back. And it is a test knit for, I think I'm allowed to say, I don't think it was secret. She showed them when she was knitting them. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it because it didn't say secret explicitly. I am test knitting these for Hohi Locatelli. And it is a cabled sock called Cables Down the Back. I cut out 2 repeats of this sock, and I will tell you why. There's actually a couple of reasons why. Number 1, cables, I love them, but as the thinner the yarn, the more and more they dislike me. And by me, I mean my wrists and everything. And that also combined with, this is a 1x1, entirely 1x1 ribbed texture sock. Even on the front, the whole sock and all down the top is going to be 1x1 rib, which you need because you need the stretch in this, but it's just harder on my hands. So I made sure that it was okay for me to shorten it a little bit. You should technically have 3 cables before you start the heel flap. There's 3 cables on this heel flap, and then you should have 3 here. And I just knew that I wouldn't have the stamina to knit all the other 2 repeats. The other thing is that cables tend to bring in the sock quite a bit, which is why I'm sure that she chose to put the ribbing in. And because of that, I knew that if it was much taller, it wouldn't fit my calves. So I just kind of, knowing myself, knowing my legs and my body, I thought, you know, I need to make this what I know will fit me. And if they're fun, little, kind of shortish, cabled socks, then that is just fine. But I love this yarn. It was yarn that was sent to me by Colorful Eclectic. I absolutely love it. She let me pick out the color, so no surprise that I picked a fluorescent, hot, sparkly pink. She sent a beautiful stitch marker along with it. That's this really pretty hot pink jewel, which has been very useful here. I just love this. The pattern is great. I know this is Hohi's first sock pattern, but it's beautiful, just like all of her other patterns. So I'm just really enjoying it. There you go. There you can see the texture. And y'all have to excuse my nails because they are about to grow off my fingers. Can you see that? And I think I'm just going to I'm kind of over the fake nails for a little while anyway, so I think they're coming off. So that is that. This is the yarn in the cake. You can just see how pretty and sparkly pink. That's really very color accurate as far as I can tell. So that is that. Oh, Colorful Eclectic. Did I say this? Colorful Eclectic Dye Works. The colorway is I Believe in Pink. And this is in a maple mousse fibers typewriter bag that I love and have used almost constantly since I got it. Absolutely love it. Okay, so the next work in progress is I started some socks. And I had to start them because I got some new sock needles that I wanted to try. So let's talk about the yarn first. The yarn is, you can believe this is my first time officially using Opal, which was another reason I wanted to start these. There's a couple of Opal colorways that I want right now, and I have several skeins in my stash, and I thought, you know, I actually need to knit with it before I buy more. Yeah, I have my stash of like Regia, Opal, Trekking, Croy, those types of things is quite large considering I've knit 2 pairs of socks. Maybe this is the 3rd pair, something like that, 2 or 3 pairs ever out of this yarn, and I love it. I just always tend to pick other things, so I'm actually making a real concerted effort to use it. This is the Opal, the Little Prince colors, and it is color number 7766. So here it is in the ball, skein, hank, whatever the appropriate word is. It's kind of these yellows and peachy orange and pink, and then that green. And here is how it's knitting up. So I cast it on 64 stitches, 2x2 rib. I think I did 16 rounds of ribbing, which is pretty much my standard. And I'm just knitting away on the leg. I'm probably getting close to where I would put in a heel, I think. But I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I love the way it feels. It just feels like a good, sturdy sock. And I know it's going to wash up, you know, it has a little bit of a tooth to it compared to a superwash merino, certainly. But some of my favorite socks to wear in the winter are my Regia socks that I finished last year. And so this has just made me, kind of remembering that, it's just made me want to make some more just good, cozy, sturdy socks. So that's what I'm doing, and really enjoying it. The needles that I had to test out, oh, what I was going to say is I am considering, I think I'm going to add a contrast heel and toe to these, just because. I have a skein of, I have a couple of grays, but I just don't think gray is really what I want with this. And so I've got a skein of natural, and I think that's maybe more the direction that I'm going to go. Kind of a creamy natural color, and I think that'd be really, really nice. But I just wanted the heel and toe. I didn't want the cuff out of it. So that's the plan. I'm sure that I will do a fish lips kiss heel because that's just the easiest. And then the toe. The needles that I'm using are Knit Pro Zings. I ordered them on Etsy from an overseas seller. I don't remember who, but you can search for Knit Pro Zings on Etsy and you will find several sellers. But here's the package that they came in. Knit Pro Zing. And these are the 2.25 millimeter, so a US 1. And I like them. They're no signature needle, but I prefer them way more to carbons, like way more than carbons, because carbons have that little, where the carbon meets the metal tip, there's just always that little join that isn't always perfectly smooth, and this doesn't have that at all. So, because it's just it's perfectly smooth. Now it is way less sharp. I don't know if you can tell that from here, but if you're familiar with signatures, I mean, this is pretty sharp, but it is not stiletto signature sharp. But they are fabulous. They're pretty lightweight. They are a little bit heavier than signatures, I would say. But not as heavy as, like, I had some Nova, what is it, the Platina needles, and those were super heavy. These are really great. So I've been enjoying DPN knitting a lot lately, like a lot. A lot of my whips right now for socks are on DPNs. So yeah, so that's that, an Opal sock. Really, really pretty pleased with it. And this is hanging out in a bag that it's way too little. The bag is too big for the project, but it is my bag that I got at Zombie Knit Apocalypse. And a lot of my project bags are still packed because we're still in that, are we going to try to move or should we just unpack and just not move? We still haven't really decided yet. So we still have a garage that's packed. Which is just a whole different Oprah show, but whatever. Okay, so the next work in progress that I'd like to talk about is something that I started while I was on vacation and has almost seen not almost, it has seen absolutely no attention since I got home, which is pretty sad, but it's the reality of the situation. For August, for the Camp Loopy, I am doing the 3-color cashmere shawl by Hohi Locatelli. And let's see if I can find a picture. There it is. Just a beautiful crescent-shaped 3-colored shawl. I'm using 3 colors of hedgehog fibers. This is banana legs, which is pretty bright. It's pretty much that bright. I'm using, this one is called Crybaby, so it's natural with just blips of light highlightery colors. And then my 3rd color is, this is Velvet, is what it's called. Let's see. Yes, Velvet. So here's my third color. Gosh, these are making a huge mess right now. As you will see in a minute, I've started with these two. This is my accent color. So here's what I have so far. I don't know that this is going to get done before the end of the month, in 14 days, 13 days. I think part of the reason I stalled out is because I just can't quite decide if I love this combination yet or not. I don't know. The problem is that in order to really decide, I've got to keep going, and then that's even more knitting. But so here it is so far. So the first two sections. I don't know. Tell me what you think. I'm not totally married to it. Certainly not enough to stop here. I mean, I love the variegatedness of this yellow, but do I love it with this project? That's what's eating me up a little bit, is do I like it in this project? Or does this project need to have more consistently solid colors? So that's kind of where I am. I think maybe overall, when it's all said and done, I will be much more happy with it. I think I need to just keep going. It's kind of my instinct with this, but we'll see. So I think I've done the first two sections totally, I think, if I remember correctly. And yeah, and then you kind of repeat the white and then the yellow again, and then you get into narrower stripes. So we'll see. Maybe I'll sit down this evening during some Olympic watching and really give it some attention. This is hanging out in a very special bag. Some of you were fortunate enough to get in on the special anniversary update that I had for celebrating 10 years of Suburban Stitcher. What? I started my little blog 10 years ago, August 4th. And then I started my podcast in August, right around the 3rd or the 4th, 3 years ago. So there's just been 10 years of Suburban Stitcher in one form or another. Blogging, podcasting, business, everything. And I wanted to celebrate. So I made some exclusive anniversary bags, I guess. But this is the shawl-sized bag. It is a larger project bag. It's holding all 3 balls of yarn sort of floating around in there with the pattern, with the project going, and it still has plenty of room. But it's got, you know, my standard little D-ring. The thing that I love about this that you really just don't get on the pictures is this bottom is linen, and it is so sturdy. I mean, it just makes this, it makes it stand up nicely. This top is a quilter's cotton. I've used a little bit sturdier interfacing with this one, and it's been crunched up, which is why you're seeing it crunched up, but it's just, you know, lovely. My new labels, it's the same logo, but I have them in color now. So I thought it was super fun that this bag actually matches the logo with my gray and pink. I just love this bag. And then the lining is that needle print, which is so cute. So I had this bag, I had a matching needle whip minder. And then you will see that there was also a regular sized sock size bag, my standard, with the gray linen and the pink, same lining. That was available, and there still are some of these available. I may put them back in the shop. I pulled them down for a little while, you know, for pre-orders, but I may put the pre-orders back up again because I will have some more fabric to make some more of these. So that, the small one, and then while we're talking about it, I just have to show you my favorite of the new products. And this is just new to the shop. I think I showed kind of a preview of one item last week, or last episode. This is my new little Notions pouch. I absolutely love it. And in this linen, it is so professional looking, if I do say so myself. It is a gorgeous kind of linen cotton blend. Same as on the bags, but because it's all in linen in this, it's just the best little case. It holds so much. It holds a tube of signatures in the tube. I've got a pen, I've got scissors, tape, business cards, lip gloss. I've got everything in here, like everything. It has the pink lining, it's so super cute. There's still tons of room. It can fold over. The other thing, it would fit, you know, feminine products. If you needed to fit those in there, it certainly would be long or square enough, depending on what your feminine product of choice is. It also fits a phone. So this is a iPhone 6, whatever. I don't know what the numbers are. I just know it's a 6. But you can put this totally in there. So you could literally use this as like an evening clutch as well. Like it's amazing. You could put a lip gloss and a phone and, you know, your credit cards and your driver's license, and it would be a perfect just little evening clutch. And it's classy. Like, that's my favorite part. Like, I am all about cartoon animals on bags and cutesy fun knitting bags, but sometimes you just want something that's like not cartoon animals. And clear, I mean, I'm wearing a printed shirt, so I'm all about the cutesy, but sometimes you just want something that's not, and that's plain, and I am kind of exploring that a little bit. So yeah, so I'm really, hopefully you can tell I'm excited about this particular product. All right, on to the knitting again. In this bag, and I have enjoyed having a full set of my anniversary bags. I can't remember if I mentioned before, I'm sure I did, but for Mother's Day, I told my mom to come in my yarn room and just pick out some yarn, and I would make her whatever she wanted. Shawl, socks, you know, whatever she wanted. Pick what she wanted me to use, the colors, if I didn't have a color, but she knew kind of what she wanted, you know, we could shop together for it, whatever, and I would make her, you know, but I wanted to make her something that she wanted. And so she chose some socks. She wanted some of Rose City rollers. I had just finished some, and she thought, oh, those would be great. I'm like, okay, easiest gift ever. Anytime. And she picked out a gorgeous skein from my stash of Hedgehog Fibers sock yarn in the Winter Thaw. Oh, Winter Thaw. There we go. Winter Thaw colorway. I know that I got this at the Loopy U a couple of years ago. But it's a beautiful, it almost looks like opalescent, like an opal, because it's grays and blues and greens and golds and lavenders and pinks. Just so many beautiful colors. And it's hedgehog, so it's amazingly soft. But I have finished, take these off, blockers. I have finished the first sock. This is just going to be a long episode, and I'm going to have to edit it down to almost nothing. So I'll probably be blurry by the time this goes up on the air, but I just have a lot to say this week. So here's the first sock. It's just gorgeous. I absolutely love this color. I almost sold this. I almost destashed this, and it makes me so sad to even think that I almost did, because this is so beautiful. It's so my mom. I love that that's what she picked out. And this is the second one, so I'm getting so close to being done. I've just kind of been, every day I feel like I work on it, maybe just 5 or 10 rows, which is good. This is the second one, so it is so close to being done, as you can see. My mom and I wear the same size shoe. So it's great because it is super easy for me to tell if things are going to fit her, because if if it fits me, then it will definitely fit her. So that is the second one, and I'm doing these to pattern exactly. This is my row counter. I have, the way that I figured it out is from the end of this in decrease, I had to do 65 straight rows, and this was at 20. So I think I'm about 50, just by eyeballing that, if that was 20. Probably getting close to 50. So I'm getting close, and then I can start the toe and be done. You know, honestly, if I just plugged away at it this evening, I would probably finish it. But then there's that shawl, so who knows? But these are so lovely, and such a contrast from the Opal sock yarn, because these are so lovely and decadently soft. I can't wait for her to have them. She's gonna love them. I know it. She saw me working on them in Colorado because I wanted her to try them on and just kind of make sure that as I was going, they were working, and they were. So that is that. The last thing that is not a scrap project that I worked on, and I worked on this before we left. I actually brought it with us on our trip, and I ended up not working on it at all. But I pulled back out my what is this? The Romy Hill Mystery Shawl. From earlier, maybe February-ish, February, March-ish. Must have been March, because when I saw her at DFW, it was happening. So it must have been March that it was released or started happening. Anyway. But yeah, so I'm loving the lace, loving working on this. I'm into the third clue, I believe. And it's going swimmingly. I'm very, very pleased with how the yarn is looking and how the two yarns are looking together. The two yarns that I'm using are this one, this kind of natural, a peachy, pinky color is Fiber Story, and it's called Heirloom. This is in their sock base. And then this one is an Anzula Anzula Cloud, the dark gray, and it's in the Sexy colorway. So this is an 80-10-10, 80 merino cashmere nylon. And I'm really enjoying the whole thing. So that is that. And then the last couple of things that I've worked on, I know, right? I've just done so many things, but it's been a month, I think, since we've talked. It's getting sour, like watered down sour. If you've never had kombucha, you wouldn't understand, but if you have, then you will. I put some love into my crocheted scrappy blanket, and I kind of had it like a come to terms with what do I want from this thing and what am I looking for, and I'm glad that I've kind of re-looked at it again. So here is the blanket. It is, I don't know, about, maybe it's like a foot, 12 inches or so, 12 by 12, 14 by 14 inches. This is just all scraps. I started adding some of these brighter colors in, which I love. I feel like it needed some pop, needed some attention. At first, I was just using up the ends of things and kind of going wherever, and then it started bothering me that I wasn't getting complete rounds. So then you can see that starting like here, this one, and the next these 4 rounds, I think, that I've put in since the last time you've seen it, I started doing like 2 to 3 complete rounds each time to sort of get it even looking. And I like that, but I think I'm going to go back to it being scrappy. I saw my friend Michelle, who is Studio in the Green, her business, and she is literally just using the ends of scraps. If it makes a half a row or if it makes 7 rows, like it's just, uses what it does what it does. And I love that. And I loved hers, and I don't know why I'm trying to make it so perfect, but I was. So the other thing that's been great is I have been able to use some of these scraps that I received from the lovely Seashore Sharon 2 years ago at Rhinebeck. And she made me this sweet bag and rolled up all these minis in here, and I found them the other day and have pulled them out and have had the best time knitting those and working those into the blanket. So that's been fun. And then I also put a few squares. I don't even know what to call this one. It clearly needs a bigger bag. But lose the stitch. Excuse me, I don't want to lose the stitch marker. Like I said, I don't know what to call this one, but it's kind of just I can't really say it's, quiet colors, because there's hot pink in there and there's these darker colors in there too, but it's mostly just pinks and purples and some light kind of pastel-y greens and blues, or grays or neutrals. I would say it's mostly pinks and purples and neutrals, unless there's just something else that really appeals to me. So like this one's probably going to go in there, and that's a yellow, but it's a gold, and I just feel like it just kind of looks like it would go with it. There's really no real rules. So I put this in here. This was from Sharon. I think ply structure looks like it might be a Socks That Rock. It's considerably thicker than some of these other ones, so certainly could be. You can see that square almost wants to stand up on its own. It's a lot less drapey than some of these other ones, but it'll all block out just fine. So I did that square. I did this square, which was from, I think this is from Jilly, Vegan Jilly. So whatever yarn this is, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Beautiful greeny blue. And then I put this one in, and I think this one is from, I can't remember, either Jilly or maybe it is from Seashore Sharon. I can't remember, but pretty blues and purples. So I worked on that a little bit, and that's, I think, pretty much what I've worked on over the last little while. And I'm going to pause here, and we will come back, and when you see me again, we'll be doing Hello Lovelies. Hey y'all, I'm back. This is kind of the second half. I don't know if I'll splice it. I don't know if I will just do 2 videos. Not really sure. I'll probably just try to splice it together. Obviously, this is the next day. I'm wearing a totally different outfit. I have makeup on today. I've got crazy hair because, just kind of one of those days. Yep. Please, I don't want to adult today. Please don't make me adult. That's the mood today. So I counterbalanced it with some makeup, Sometimes when you're not feeling it, you gotta just pretend. So, all right, so let's get back kind of on track for what I was ending up with yesterday. I wanted to talk about a few things that are up and coming for me in the knitting front. So I mentioned earlier that I was going to be knitting a sweater in September, or starting a sweater. I don't know that I'll actually finish this thing in September, but there's no deadline. But I swatched for the sweater Citadel, and I think I might sneak over here, actually get the picture. Probably chair on carpet goes slow. Okay, so here's the sweater. Right? It's like a sweater coat. And it just looks so cozy and yummy and wonderful. And yeah, I bought yarn for this last year at the end of the year during Miss Bab's end of the year big 25% off clearance big sale that she does every year. It's from it's usually from December 25th, like Christmas Day, until December 31st. And I purchased several things, again, one of which being a sweater quantity of this yarn. And the yarn is, of course I don't have I can grab another skein. I am not prepared, clearly. Okay, so the yarn that I'm using is this yarn. I only caked up one skein of it. But this is Miss Bab's Heartland, which is a 3-ply worsted. It is normally $18 a skein, but I got it at 25% off, so whatever that is, I think that's like 14 something a skein, which is pretty darn good. 250 yards, and it's super soft. It is not a superwash, it's just 100% merino. It feels so soft, it almost seems impossible that it's not superwash, but it isn't. And I did my swatch for Citadel, and it's perfect. Like, can't even tell you how perfect it is. It's so perfect. I love the cables. I love the definition that it's getting. I did knit this, and then I just kind of laid it out. I didn't really stretch it a ton. I just sort of laid it out flat on a towel on my counter overnight. And then the next day it was almost dry, and I like picked it up and kind of shook it around a little bit and then laid it back down and let it totally dry. And then I measured it because I knew like you can't really pin something out. It's never going to stay that shape. You can't, especially a sweater. So, I mean, if you're trying to get a real serviceable gauge, you've got to figure out, what it is. The gauge for this, it said 20 stitches per inch. No, 20 stitches over 4 inches. And I got that, on this part. And then, sorry, my kids are just like running around outside. And then this part, you're supposed to get a cable over 2 inches, and it's actually, I have like 2¼ inches on the cable. So I don't know if that's because I've got, something in the middle or, kind of what's happening there. But so I'm a little off on the cable gauge, which is fine. The reason I'm okay with that is because this sweater calls for, I believe, 4 inches of ease, positive ease, which would mean 4 inches, 2 to 4 inches of positive ease, which would be bigger than your size. So if you wear let's say you have a 38 bust, you would want to knit like between a 40 to 42 to be able to have it, fit the same as it's fitting on the model. And actually this is even bigger than what the ease in the pattern calls for. This model says that she is a 35 bust and she's wearing the 40. So here's where I get a little nervous. I am, after talking with my personal sweater guru, Prairie Girl Susie, and I say that because she's knit a ton of sweaters and she's gotten really amazing at making them fit perfectly. So I measured my upper bust, which is, I'll show you, I have no shame, which is like this measurement from here, like underneath your underarm. So your upper bust that kind of goes above your bra strap in the back. and that is a 37 on me. And then my full bust measurement, which is across the widest part right here, is a 40. So it's a little bit different, you know, as you would expect. It's a few inches difference. But bust circumference worn closed. So 40 inches. I'm going to knit the 40 because this is a 37 and I just feel like I don't want this to be huge up here. My only concern with that is that I know for sure I would really probably like closer to the next size up, which is the 44, as I get closer to my hips. But I figure since it's top down, first off, it's top down. And if it's too small when I start knitting it and I feel like, oh my gosh, that's not going to work, I can just either keep going, you know, or I can rip back some, add some more increases and then keep going. And then if it does work at the 40, and I feel like I want a little more width in the bottom so that it's not like flared out and weird and doesn't close, there are some panels on the side that I can add in some extra stitches and just kind of make those a little bit bigger on the sides. And then the front cables should still lay right, fall right, if that makes sense. So this is all in theory still. I haven't worked anything out other than my gauge matches. And I love it. Seriously, so soft. I test this on, so here is Sweet Yarn Bowl, beautiful yarn bowl that my mom bought me from Darn Good Yarn. She just saw it and thought of me and bought it, which I love. I've never had a yarn bowl and I have used the heck out of this thing. It sits next to my couch. But I swatched for this sweater using some size 6 Knit Pro Zings. I purchased several pairs kind of in the needles that I use all the time when I bought those Knit Pro Zings. And these are lovely, super duper lovely. And then I also used a size 6 Signature that I have as my cable needle. And that all worked quite nicely. So that is coming up next for me in knitting. Another thing that I have up and coming is I am going to be knitting a hat pretty soon. I'm going to be casting it on pretty soon out of these 2 yarns that were sent to me for review. I got to pick the colors. Are you surprised at what I chose? No. But this is Dale Garn Pure Eco Baby Wool. And it is the softest, most beautiful yarn. Seriously, it is amazing. This is all in a language that I cannot understand. But it's 100% wool. I do not think it is, oh, it's Norwegian wool. Dale Garn is Norway. This was sent to me for review from Stitchcraft Marketing and the folks over at Dale Garn, and I'm super excited to get to use it. Really excited about the colors. There's actually a pattern on Ravelry, and I will link it or put a picture here or something, but there's a pattern on Ravelry that is designed to use this yarn but in a slightly different base, but it's the same. I believe this is a fingering weight, almost positive. Fingering or a sport, which will be perfect for a hat for this climate for me. But I have several shawls kind of in this color scheme-ish type thing, and that's why I picked these 2 colors. So, whoa, sorry, that is coming up for me. I have 2 other shawls that are kind of on my radar. The first is the Dotted Rays by Stephen West. What? I have a ton of, now it has reached the I have a ton of state. I have a ton of Hedgehog Fibers yarn. I've just been hoarding it, and I honestly didn't even realize how many skeins I had until I started pulling it out a few weeks ago. And you'll see in Hello Lovelies that I have more. So I have a lot, and I have been dreaming of starting a dotted raise and just literally winding up every single ball that I have, which is like 14 skeins. And just making a speckle crazy shawl dotted raise out of that yarn. Is that crazy or what? Like, totally am thinking about it. I don't know if it'll happen, but it's just what I'm dreaming about. And then the last thing that I really think that I'm going to cast on at the end of the month, or beginning of September, sometime in that time frame, it's a shawl that actually I purchased the pattern back in June. It is a pie shawl. I think it's called Love is Love, and it's by Donna Dracunis. And it actually is releasing on, I think, the 29th next week, or in 2 weeks, but it was put out to send love and support to the folks in Florida after the bombing tragedy that was in the nightclub there. So I just love that idea. I've never knit a pie shawl. I loved the idea behind it, and the thing that intrigues me about it is she is purposely using solid yarn and rainbow speckly crazy variegated yarns all in the same pie shawl design. So I'm really intrigued to see how that because usually pie shawls you think solid colors because you're going to get this intricate lace. And so the thing that is intriguing me is the fact that there is purposely variegated yarn that's being used in this. So I'm really excited to see how that turns out. So even if I don't cast it on right away, I will be watching closely to see the progress that people make. Okay, so now let's get to Hello Lovelies. I was in Colorado for a week, a little over a week and a half almost, several weeks ago. And I got the chance to visit 3 yarn stores. I did my own little personal yarn crawl. Actually, there was an official yarn crawl happening that I didn't even know of, but I wasn't going to get to Wyoming or most of the stores. So I just did my own little personal one and did quite well, I will say. I stayed in Estes Park for 8 days and went to neither of the yarn stores there. I know, right? But our schedules were kind of crazy, and so I didn't have a chance. But I actually did go to 3 yarn stores in Fort Collins because I dropped off my family to go rafting, and then I went yarn crawling. Seemed right to me. So the first store that I went to was in Fort Collins, and it's called Lamb Spun. And super cute store. It is in the back of a Mexican food restaurant, which, hello, tacos and knitting and yarn. Like, you can't get more perfect than that. So I got a couple of things while I was there. The first thing I got were these size 10 DPNs, and this is what I used to bind off that shawl that I showed you because I knew I needed some size 10s. And then the other thing that I got there is this skein of like crazy bright sock yarn. It's a neon with mostly oranges and greens and yellows, which just screamed my kids. So this had to come home with me. And like I said, it was just because it just looked like my boys. It's gonna be a perfect skein to make some socks for the boys. Super cute store. They do a lot of weaving and spinning, I think. So that was also pretty fun. The next store that I went to was the Loopy U, which sort of was amazing. Whoa, gosh, I keep hitting my setup today. Sorry, guys. Got a big Loopy U bag because when you spend a crap ton of money there, they give you a bag. It's a good thing I don't live close to the store. Let's say that. Okay, so I got a couple of pairs of needles because I am into the needles. Okay, so I was talking about the Loopy U and needles because I love needles. They're like I don't know, I just love trying new needles. So I've never actually tried Hiya Sharps. Hear people talk about them all the time, but never tried them. So I got a pair for sock knitting. These are size 1, 32 inch. And then I also bought another pair because I really, really enjoy these. I bought another pair of size 1 Knitter's Pride Cubics, the wooden ones. They're like a rosewood, and they are really amazing. So I bought a second pair of those. So those are the needles that I got at the Loopy U. And I got a bunch of fabric that I'll be making bags out of. Some you will see soon. I'm not going to show any on the show, but you'll see. You'll see in bag form and on Instagram and previews and everything. So I got 4 skeins of yarn. I got 1 skein that I'm pretty sure is going to be some socks for my husband. And you might be seeing this purple and thinking, what? But this reminded me of a hike that we took. And I really want to make him another pair of socks. This is Socks That Rock medium weight in the Cluck Chimes at Midnight. And when we were driving and in Colorado, he kept commenting about like the golden fields and the fields that had just been plowed. He just loved that like yellow golden field look. So that reminded me of that. The blue reminded me of all the lakes and everything that we hiked to. And then the brown, of course, just the dirt and ground and everything around. And then this purple color, we went on a hike that was called, what was it? To Cub Lake in Rocky Mountain National Park. And we saw these thistles everywhere. Everywhere there were thistles, and this just purpley color reminded me of the thistles. And also this golden color could be the golden little lily pads that were at that lake. So it just reminded me of our trip and the things that we had seen, and so I thought it would make a good, and it wasn't too girly looking. I think when it's all knit up, it's going to be really pretty and not too girly. So, and this is very generous yardage for sport weight. It's 405 yards. So I could probably actually get 2 pairs of socks out of this if I made shorties. I could make him a pair and me a pair, which would be pretty fun. So I got that skein. I got, and everything else is, well, everything I bought there is new to me dyers and or bases. Oh, I just realized I totally didn't even put 2 and 2 together. I bought 2 skeins of Blue Moon yarn. So that I got that sport weight sock, and then I bought this skein of Marine Silk lace weight, which is, oh my gosh, so stunning. I bought this because I just like lace weight. I was thinking maybe the most recent Curious Handmaids, the Shawl Society shawl, maybe. I don't know, but this is Marine Silk lace weight. It's 51% silk, 29% merino, and 20% sea cell, which is a rayon blend. It is so shiny, as you can see. It's just like bam. The colorway is called Mermaid Tears, and it's like a gray, pearly lavender. It's the best way to describe it. I mean, it's definitely like more pinky lavender compared to my shirt gray, but it's just kind of as a neutral-ish, like a pinky neutral. I don't really know how to describe it. That's kind of the best I can do. But yeah, this just looked, it was pretty and soft and shiny. I got a skein of Fresh from the Cauldron, and I think I've looked at this online, and it does not do it nearly the justice as in person. So this is Fresh from the Cauldron self-striping, and the thing that did me in on this one, I loved the pinks and purples, but that little olivey green right there with the pink and purples it's the combo that did it for me. I say it's self-striping. Maybe it's not. I don't know. No clue, actually. The colorway is called Teleco, but I'm just really very excited about all the colors together. I love it. I can't wait to see what it does. It's kind of this would be a good either fall or spring colorway. Maybe fall, kind of those muddy greens. I don't know. I loved it. It was very different. So I got that, and then this last skein that I got, just reading a text message from my friend. Sorry. And then I got this last skein that is Nerd String. Super duper pretty. And there's no surprise as to why I got this one. It's this beautiful baby pink, kind of solid color. Yeah, that's probably the closest. Let me see if I can get my nails out of there. That's pretty accurate. This is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and the colorway is called Slippered. And it's beautiful, just kind of ballet slipper pink color. Nerd String. And that is it from the Loopy U. And the last place that I went, and in some ways, my favorite place, and you'll see why in a minute, is I went to a yarn store that I wouldn't have even known about, that someone told me about it, and it was called My Sister Knits. This is all bent up. I haven't looked at this yarn since we got back. Like, it's been in the bag because I knew I couldn't like pet it and love it because I would want to use it and then I wouldn't be able to show it off. MSK, My Sister Knits, or My Sister's Knits, or something like that. But this is a gorgeous, gorgeous shop that is in the carriage house. My Sister Knits. It's in the carriage house of a home that's just in the back house on this residential street, and you wouldn't even hardly know it's there except for there's a yarn bomb tree out front. It was amazing. Beautiful store. Everything in it is like the crazy hard to find stuff that you can't find everywhere, and they're fully loaded, stocked of all of it. They have Brooklyn tweed, they have hazel knits, hedgehog, what's that really, really soft stuff? Woolfolk, Anzula. It's just so many. And lollipop yarn. It's lollipop self-striping. They have there's another dyer that does the little gumball things. Not Nomadic, but somebody else. Anyway, I got 4 skeins of yarn. This first skein I got one because I would have gotten it because of the color anyway, because it's gorgeous. But, oh my gosh, this is like my spirit animal color. I just love it. This is the Artisan Sock, 90% superwash merino, 20% nylon. The colorway is called Purple Mountain Majesty, and it was originally created for My Sister Knits Hot August Knits Yarn Crawl 2016, which is what was happening while I was in town. So I thought, this is their yarn dyed for this week, this yarn crawl. While I'm here, I have to get it. And I kept seeing purples everywhere in Colorado on this trip. Never seen as many wildflowers as I did on this particular time that we were there. So purples were, other than I just love purples, they were calling to me totally. So this is just a gorgeous skein. And then I got 3 skeins of hedgehog. Because in my head, remember, I keep thinking dotted rays, speckled dotted rays. And hedgehog is kind of like Miss Babs and some of those other ones where they're different enough each skein and each dye lot and everything is different enough that you kind of want to pick out the one that you want, you know, because that's what makes them awesome. So I got a skein of Monet, which is beautiful. I got a skein of Monarch. And I got a skein of, this is a potluck skein, so this is just a one of a kind dye lot.
Can I go fishing?
Yes, you can go fishing. Okay, so I think the last one that I didn't show was this potluck, or maybe I did, but I'll show it again. This potluck skein, which looks sort of like it was maybe a pot sucker of this one. Because it's like it has all of the off colors, but not the peachy, orangey. I don't know. So anyway, 3 skeins of hedgehog to add to the collection that is growing and growing, and I'm just looking at it. It makes me so happy. So that was my personal yarn crawl in Colorado. And then the other, I've been talking about these Knit Pro Zings. I got 2 more pairs. I got a 2.25 sock needle circular to try and a size 8 because I use size 8s, size 6s, and size 1s all the time. Okay, so I think that is it. I was going to do a little talking about kind of the shows that I've been watching and books that I've been reading, but there's just not enough time. So I'm just going to cut it out here. We're going to leave it as it is because we're already well over an hour. But I just want to thank y'all so much for hanging in with me today and yesterday, although it's today, you know, whatever day you're watching this. Seeing yesterday and then today, it tells me I need to wear makeup more often. I do. And it just makes you feel better about yourself, right? So anyway, it's water today. All water all the time. And probably going to be some tea in a minute because I'm getting a little headache. So anyway, that's it. Love y'all. 2 pieces. Mwah, mwah. Have a great week or 2. And until I see you again. Bye, guys. The kids are driving me crazy. School starts in just a few days.